You're 31. You have $2,400 in savings, $8,700 sitting on a credit card, a car payment you don't remember agreeing to emotionally, and a retirement account with enough money in it to maybe buy a decent refrigerator. You open your banking app on a Sunday night and stare at the numbers. For a second, you think about everything you haven't done. You didn't start investing at 19. You didn't buy Bitcoin when some guy on Reddit told you to. And according to the internet, you've basically missed the train. Because apparently, if you didn't invest $500 a month while you were 22, living in your parents' basement and eating cereal for dinner, it's over. Congratulations. Financially deceased at 31. Except, that's not how this works. Because your 30s might actually be the decade where your financial life starts getting serious. You're older now. You earn more than you did at 22. You understand yourself better. You've made enough stupid financial decisions to know which ones you don't want to repeat. And most importantly, you finally understand that nobody is coming to rescue your finances. So you make a decision, not a dramatic one. You don't sell your car and move into a tent. You just decide, I'm going to stop making my future self clean up after my present self. And that changes everything. The first thing you do isn't invest. It's figure out where the hell your money is going. You download your bank statements, and suddenly, you discover your financial autobiography. $47 on food delivery, $63 on OnlyFans, $112 on random Amazon purchases, and one particularly embarrassing transaction for $38.99 that you genuinely cannot remember. Your money hasn't disappeared. You've been sending it away. One tiny transaction at a time. So you build a budget. Not one of those insane spreadsheets with 47 different categories. Just what comes in, what goes out. Why you cancel the subscriptions you forgot existed. You stop upgrading your lifestyle every time your paycheck increases. You attack the high-interest debt. And you start building an emergency fund. Your first target isn't $100,000. It's $1,000. Then 1 month of expenses. And eventually, 3 to 6 months. It's boring. But something strange happens. You stop being terrified of small disasters. The car breaks. You pay for it. Your company cuts your hours. You don't immediately start Googling how to live inside a cardboard box. That's when you realize your savings aren't just money. They're protection. They're options. Once the financial bleeding stops, at 32, you start investing consistently. Maybe it's $300 a month. Maybe it's $500. The number doesn't matter as much as the habit. You automate it. Every payday, the money leaves your account before you can spend it. At first, it's almost insulting. You check the account after 6 months. $3,200? Congratulations. You are not rich. You can't buy a yacht. You can't even buy the yacht's cup holder. But then you keep going. $10,000, $20,000, and something changes. You stop thinking about money purely as something you spend. You start thinking about money as something you own. That's a massive psychological shift. Because the old question was, can I afford this? Now you start asking, if I spend this, what am I giving up? That $1,500 holiday isn't just $1,500 anymore. It's $1,500 that could have stayed invested. It's future money, future freedom. At 34, you realize something uncomfortable. You can only cut expenses so far. You can't budget your way into becoming wealthy if your income is too low. So you start working on the other side of the equation. You learn a valuable skill. You negotiate your salary. You start freelancing. You build a small business on the side. You spend 6 months learning something that makes you significantly more valuable. And eventually, your income increases. You go from $55,000 to $70,000. Then $80,000. Eventually, $100,000 plus. And here's the important part. You don't immediately turn the extra money into a nicer car. Because you've learned the most dangerous sentence in personal finance. I deserve it. Yes, you do deserve nice things, but your future self deserves them too. So instead of letting every raise become a new monthly payment, you increase your investments. Your lifestyle improves, but slowly. At 36, you check your investment account. And for the first time, the number looks serious. You've got $75,000. You realize something. You didn't become wealthy from one massive decision. You became wealthier because of hundreds of incredibly boring ones. That's what compounding looks like in real life. You're 40. You still have a mortgage. At times, your parents need help. Life happens. Your portfolio drops 20%. You have a major repair. This isn't some fantasy where every investment goes up and you wake up at 40 looking like a billionaire. The difference is, you have something to fall back on. You aren't starting from zero every time life punches you in the face. Your net worth is $500,000. The number depends on your income, savings rate, investment returns, debt, and 1,000 other things. But the important part is that your trajectory has changed. You're moving forward. At 45, wealth starts becoming less about stuff. You don't necessarily want a bigger house. You want fewer things you have to do. Your investments have grown. Your retirement accounts are getting serious. You have equity in a business. Your mortgage is nearly paid off, and your portfolio is generating meaningful returns. Now you have something you didn't have at 30. Options. Your boss is being unbearable? You can leave. You want to take 3 months off? Maybe you actually can. That's what wealth buys, not necessarily Lamborghinis. Leverage, freedom, the ability to tell someone no, without immediately wondering how you're going to pay the electricity bill. You have 2 choices. You can look back at 30 and say, I wish I'd started. Or you can look back at 30 and say, thank God I started. Same decade, same person, completely different future. And that's the real advantage of building wealth in your 30s. You don't need to become rich overnight. You just need to make your next financial decision slightly better than your last one, and then do it again, and again. Until one day, you open your investment account and realize the person you used to worry about becoming is the person you actually became. Not because you got lucky. Not because a guy on TikTok promised you 400% returns. Because you started, and you kept going. So if you're in your 30s right now, don't panic. Don't compare your Chapter 5 to someone else's Chapter 20. Open the account, pay off the debt, build the emergency fund, invest something, increase your income, and give compound growth enough time to do its ridiculously boring magic. Your future self is watching, and they're probably begging you to start today.